Hello and welcome back to Skyfactory. So I've done a bit more mocking up again. Thank you to Bliffle for some suggestions about how we might automate the smelting process. So prior to us getting an ME system, what I want to do is just store most of the output in barrels. With the exception of iron ore, we need to just get the iron ore smelting. So what I've done here is this is where the smeltery will be. So we'll build the smeltery here, and this is where we'll automatically feed the iron ore in. And I'll probably build a little lava producing thing at the back, and we might lay this out a little bit differently as we automate the smelting of the rest, but for the moment that's the important thing. So everything will be kept in barrels, and that will be sorted from here. So where we left off last episode, we had these 3 chests, and what I've got coming out of these 3 chests here is we'll have a sorting pipe, and the sorting pipe will remove everything that is non-smeltable will come into here, and same on this side here. So out of the gravel we'll pull out diamonds and coal and emeralds, things like that. Out of the sand we'll get the cactus seeds and the crystals and stuff, and out of the dust we'll get the redstone and blaze powder and things like that. And at the end here we'll also collect all of the dust for the smelting stuff. So that's copper, this is gold, there's nickel, and we've got silver and platinum and stuff like that. What we'll do is, so whilst we've got coming out of one side of the chest all of the stuff that we can't smelt, coming out of the other side of this chest we'll have the broken ore, and that will feed down here. And we'll also pick up out of this chest all of the crushed ore, and that will feed into this block. And this block here, it will be an autonomous activator fitted with an ore smasher. And around the other side of this, down here, will be a block placer. So what will happen down in this little corner is that's the ore smasher. So that will, in this block, will place either the sand or the gravel, the ore gravel or the ore sand, and then so that'll place it, and this will break it. So that's a block breaker, and this is an autonomous activator with the ore smasher. And above we'll have the a vacuum hopper that feeds stuff that can be re-broken back into here, and when it's dust it will feed it back into this chest. So that's the theory. I'm gonna build all of this and see how it works. Autonomous activator, block breaker, a vacuum hopper, some item filters. So to use an item filter, let's just get one of them. What you do is you right click it, and then you put a sample. You get your sample back, which is nice. And this item filter now knows that these things are relevant, so this will whitelist stuff. Put that back in the chest. and we can see now it's just taken some, yeah, it's taken flint out of the chest, And so what should be left in the chest is just broken ore. So what I want to make now is a filter pipe, and we make that out of a selection of things. Now the things I've got, lapis counts, bone meal counts, cocoa beans count, and I had some pink dye which came out of a mob drop. Excellent. So we have a pipe that comes in here that's feeding all of these, but it will, if it comes through here, what I want it to do is it can drop platinum into the bottom, but into the top can only go iron. Yep, that seems to be working okay. So the sorting system works. Right, now let's see if the pulverizing system works. Okay, so I've placed this autonomous activator and I've put my old ore smasher in it. I've connected it up to the power, so it's got power, and I've got two chests outputting. This one's outputting crushed ore and that one's outputting the broken ore. So I think if I connect to the side of the autonomous activator, it should start spitting out either gravel or sand there. Oh, there we go. Okay, now it can only fit one block there, and that block will remain until we've got something to break it. But I think before we do that, I will put in place the hopper. Now the block breaker, I think we stand behind it. Yes, we do, to place it. And that just needs power. So we'll sort that out in a moment. First thing, we're going to need something to pull the stuff out. We want some going one way. All of the stuff that needs to go back into the block breaker we'll have going one way, and all of the stuff to go back down into that chest, all of the dust, will come out another way. And I'm going to need 2 item filters for that, because what I do like about these is you can actually drop an item filter into any of those. So coming out of the hopper, anything that is within this filter we can have coming out of the green. So we want powdered stuff coming out of the green. And then we want anything which is crushed, which is the same stuff as we've got in here, we want that recycling. So this, which is a copy of the one that's in there, we want that coming into the yellow. That's it. That's exactly what we want. Okay, so in the vacuum hopper at the moment we have 2 foreign bodies and they haven't gone anywhere, so that's good. If I now put powder, transfer node's not taking it. Okay, just needed to configure it. Oh, excellent. So it is finding somewhere to put that stuff, and I presume, well, if it's not going to the wrong place would be either here, which is full so it can't, and it's not going in there. Therefore, it must be going into the barrels. It did. So it placed it in its barrel. This will all work as long as the inventories clear themselves fast enough. Let's see. All I need to do is to power the block breaker, I believe. I assume I can do that from the top. It's not smashing it, it's just breaking it. Right, so instead of a block breaker, I'm going to need another autonomous activator, but with a hammer in it, I think. Not to worry, this block breaker will come in useful for something. And we have another autonomous activator. Okay, let's try this. So we want the autonomous activator to face us. I think that's probably right. And I want to put a hammer in it. And I want to set it to left click with the hammer. Excellent. So now we're getting crushed stuff back. So this one is right clicking with the ore smasher, which is placing a solid block, and then that one is left clicking with the hammer, which is breaking the block, and that's collecting the, because at the moment it's doing this broken aluminium ore, so it's forming gravel, it's breaking the gravel, which is giving us crushed aluminium ore back. Good. It may be too slow, we might have to apply some speed ups, but apart from that I think we've got this working. Oh, that will block everything up. Alright, so we had a bit of a problem with dust and stuff all spilling out over there, and I've been trying 2 different ways of handling this. So I'll show you sort of method number 1. There's 2 problems to why we were getting stuff spilling out, and one of the reasons is because the capacity in here, it can only hold a few things. So we've got a total of 8, and because the ore smasher needs 4 of anything to be able to place a block, if it got 3 or so many of something, then it was all just getting bunged up, and so we'd have 8 3 or less stored in here of different things, lead, iron, crushed things, and then something would get stuck in the transfer node then, and this would have nowhere to go because this would be full, and then it'd all just get bogged up, and yeah, and we'd end up, nothing could go anywhere, nothing could move, it was all jammed up. So that would cause this not to accept any more stuff. So one way to deal with that was to put a little pipe back. So what this is doing here is it's taking any of those things, as soon as it sees it in there, it pulls it out again and puts it back in the chest. So there's a constant loop going round here where this transfer node pulls things out and puts them in there. This transfer node pulls anything that's in there out and puts it in the chest, which means that sure, it's gonna pull stuff out, put it in there, it's not going to give it chance to smash it all, and it's going to put it in there. But you can tell by this chest being fairly low that actually most of the stuff is getting smashed rather than just being fed directly back. So that works. Maybe not as efficiently as we'd like, but it works. But I tried another method, and I just tried this one out here. So the problem with that method was it'll work, but only if I split these things into two separate processes, because what I found was that I couldn't have two filters. So I couldn't have the broken iron ore and the crushed iron ore all going into the one autonomous activator, into the one ore smasher. They had to be separated, because if I put two filters in, it just stopped anything from going through, and I couldn't remove all of the filters because then it'd take out the ore smasher. So this was another way, and this seems to be a bit better actually. So what happens here is this does fill up. So this has got 8 things. It's got it's actually out of energy. Hang on, there we go. It's got 8 things in it, and as long as all 8 things are below 3, then it'll stick with those. But the item hopper also has capacity, so the item hopper can fill up with the other stuff, and any spare goes in the chest. So that means that this transfer node can have stuff in it, and it will always find somewhere to put that stuff in this chest. That chest pretty much always can transfer immediately to the hopper, and as soon as the next thing comes along, if it's one of these, it'll build it up, because the hopper, as you can see, can hold up to 5 things, and that's working just fine. So you saw there, it allowed those things through. And I think I will use this method with a hopper on the other one as well, because then we don't have to keep passing stuff back into the chest. Now there is another problem, and it's the problem that was causing the spillage over here. The reason why we were getting lots of stuff just hanging around wasn't because it couldn't get in here. It was because the vacuum hopper was getting jammed up, and it was getting jammed up with foreign objects. And those foreign objects I have actually kept, because they'll be useful for testing later. And it was gravel blocks and sand blocks. So what I was seeing was this autonomous activator, it was hammering things, but instead of crushing them and turning them into dust or crushed ore, it was actually turning them into blocks. It was breaking the block instead of hammering the block. And that seemed to mostly happen when I was away from the area. So if I left the chunk, something seemed to go wrong. And you can tell by the quantities that are in here, 10 of those, 7 of those, 2 there. There was quite a lot of times that it was happening. There's 16 there. So what I need to do is to, with the broken ore that should be making crushed copper ore, sometimes it won't work and it'll malfunction, and it's going to make a gravel block instead. So what I need to do is filter those out, and I need to filter them into a block placer before we get it hammered again. So I will work on something that can handle those blocks that have been broken instead of hammered, and we'll build that into the system. Okay, so this is the setup that I'll use. I've tested this extensively, tested it running with all of the stuff as expected. I've thrown foreign objects into it, I've thrown gravel blocks into it, and it all seems to work quite nicely. So what happens is the broken ore comes from there into this chest, where a combination of the ore smasher. I've taken the hammer out just for the moment to stop it from working. The broken ore sits in a mixture of here and the hopper, and that's fine. It doesn't get clogged up. It'll process all of that. This is where the hammer sits. I've let this run out of power again so that it doesn't do anything for the moment, because I want everything to be just stationary for the moment. If it glitches and it breaks a block instead of crushing it, instead of hammering it, then this will suck it up anyway. This sucks up anything. I mean, if I throw in some random foreign object, anything it receives, it's not filtered, so everything ends up in this chest. If some gravel gets caught up in this chest, then this has got a filter on. I need to get all the gravels to fill the filter, but that filter can take any of the broken ore gravels. So this stuff, once I've got a full set of gravel, so if I take 4 of those, make them into a block, they become gravel. But any gravel it gets, it puts into the block placer, which makes a block here, which I shall show you for demonstration purposes. It shouldn't get hammered though, because this is out of power, but I'll show you how this works. So supposing that this is glitched and it's made it's making a block of gravel instead, that gets sucked up into the hopper, and there you go, it gets placed again. So we'll break that block and we should see it placed again. So what we'll get is this and this will be fighting for space here, because that will be trying to place new blocks of gravel coming from the ore smasher, and this will only be placing recycled blocks. But if something glitches, it shouldn't be a problem, because it'll all just end up in the vacuum hopper anyway. So what I'm going to do now is, so the footprint on this, it needs 3 blocks by 3 blocks, plus some clear space for piping. So I am going to make this space available. I need just a little bit more, because although I could fit this here, they'd be butting right up against the barrels. So I'm gonna move things around a little bit so that we can fit this little contraption twice. One for the ore smashing, and one for the stuff coming out of the gravel, and one for stuff coming out of the sand. And what I've done is to empty their inventory into a spare chest, so that we're not producing anything more at the moment. So this is all just sat around idle, so I can move all these barrels without worrying about stuff spilling all over the floor. Right, I shall be back shortly when all that's done, and we'll see how it worked. Okay, so I think we're done building. Let's see, all the sorting systems are working. I've tested all that and fixed all my little mistakes with the pipes. Everything's powered. Now let's see if we start giving it some tools. Yep, we'll give you an ore smasher, and we shall give you some ore. You've got a hammer. Yep, so we've got that stuff going through there, which should be, let's see, so it's coming out of that chest there, going through that pipe down into this chest. So we should get, it's going into the item hopper. Orange means output. We want that to be blue. There we go. So that's now got an input. Right, let's give you an ore smasher too. You're gonna need a hammer. So dust is coming out of there and that will make its way down there. I tested that, that's fine. So it's looking okay. Right, now what I want to try and do is introduce the stuff that it's not supposed to have. So let's throw this at it. Alright, so perfect. That means I can get this lot out of my inventory and it can take care of that. And this can take care of the sand. And now we can wire it up to the production system. Right, so that needs to connect to there. And this one needs to connect to there. And one last thing is to connect that to there. Cool. And what we should see that's got plenty to keep it going. Alright, where are you going? You're going in there. Are you getting to there? Yes. You're going in here. Why are you... Oh, same thing. Okay, you need to be an input. Cool. So stuff's coming out of here and making its way over there. Let's make sure this... How are you doing? You're out of stuff. Right, let's give him some sand to keep him going. This looks marvellous, so I think we're doing alright here. Well, having solved the problems, I'll let you know if it works out okay. Next episode, we'll finally be building that coke oven. So thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed a little bit of troubleshooting and redesigning. Wow, I love this place. It's like a proper factory. All the pipes. Right, thanks for watching. I'll see you soon. Bye bye.